refresh, what is our learning objective? Brady, you want to read it?
I will be able to understand what Chinese communism, one-party system, oligarchy impacts the right responsibilities of citizens.
Right, so we're learning about the rights and responsibilities of citizens. We've learned it in absolute monarchy, constitutional monarchy. Now we're going to learn about it in communism. What is communism? So we've touched upon it a little bit in terms of power, but really it's a society where the government controls everything, almost everything, including education, transportation, so how you're going to get around, business, only the government can have the businesses. There's no privately owned property. So you don't get to own your house. You might live in your house, but the government can come and say, hey, you know what? I kind of like this property, so I'm going to take it. Right? And this is the real definition. This is what true communism is. It's where people are equal and the government provides everything you need. So it's saying, all right, everyone's going to be equal and the government's going to be in charge and I'm going to ensure your equality. Did that sound like what we learned yesterday?
No.
What's happening in China, right?
They have ways of like twisting it around.
They had, yes, they twisted it around. I like how you phrased that, Kylie. And so why do we need to learn about communism? Want to take a guess, Kylie?
We need to learn about communism. I need some good words to come back to me.
We'll come back to you. Jacob?
Because it's a school and we had to learn something.
Yeah, at school we have to learn something. What's the big country, the communist country we've been discussing? China. It's a huge country. There are so many people in it, and it's probably pretty important for us to know where most of the population in the world is, what's going on over there, and how it impacts us. Now, the question is China communist?
Yeah.
What's the definition of communism, that second part we talked about?
Equal.
Equal. So do you think China's communist?
No.
No.
They say they're communist.
Yeah, and there's another reason too. So the other definition, we had businesses were owned by the government. China opened up their businesses to like to America and to other countries. Have we seen this before?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, everything is pretty much made in China.
Everything's pretty much made in China. Because the American government, or not the American government, the American companies are over in China and they have their factories. They're making, Nike's making shoes, Apple's getting their iPhones made. Dion?
I was gonna say that the tags and like the stickers that say made in China are made in Korea.
Are made in Korea, right? In Taiwan. So a lot of the stuff we have here in the U.S. is made in other places. So China has opened up its business. It doesn't treat all its citizens equal, but it does control education, property, finance, banking. So one of the things we're going to learn about is when the Communist Revolution came about in China, there was a cultural revolution. The government was like, hey, you know what? Kids, revolt against your teachers. Don't go to school. Ignore them. How's that sound?
That'd be awesome.
Good. Yeah, you'd think it would be awesome, but then you know what? The government comes to you and says, you know why? Because you're strong, you're physically able, so let's go work in the fields. We've got to better our country. Let's go work in the mines.
Never mind.
12-hour days. Yeah, now do you want to go back to school?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Except for Nate, who wants to work in the mines.
Weirdo.
Okay.
Selling gold.
You're not getting the money though.
All right, so what we're going to do, we've talked a little bit about the rights and responsibilities of citizens yesterday with Tankman, that's back in 1989. What's happening in communist China today? What's happening with their citizens? So we're going to read some different perspectives, and you're going to be doing this by groups. So table 1, raise your hand if you're on chair 1, desk 1. You're going to be reading document A, which discusses what the government says families can do in China. How is a family run? Who's in the family? All right, number 2 is B. You're going to be reading about communism, the revolution, the cultural revolution, and a little bit of what the government's telling them they can do. So that's a good general overview. And document C, so that's number 3. Where's number 3? Raise your hand. You both raise your hand. Nate, are you 3? 3 or 4? Are you 3? Okay. So we're going to talk about censorship. So what the government says you can look up online. Because guess what? There's no Instagram or Twitter in China. They have their own versions. Yeah, all controlled by the government. Then how do Chinese people have Instagram? You'll read about that if you have that article. Oh, okay, guys, one more document. And then we're going to discuss property, what the government says about property. And let's see. And we're going to hand out the graphic organizer. Chelsea, can you help me? Yeah, please. Oh, and so it's really important for you to read these in depth, and you're going to write down, and we'll go over it a little bit more now, but you're going to be sharing out this information. So you are responsible for this document to tell everyone in your group what you've read. How does that sound, Stash? Good?
You're 1 and 2 when I'm part of your group.
Y'all got your documents? Kind of. All right. Thank you very much, Chelsea. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look about what we're going to be doing with this. In this article, I learned about, so in your own article, you want to be able to explain it to the rest of the group. So do a quick little synthesis. What was it about? And then list how are citizens impacted by China's communist government. So be specific. You're going to want to share out specific information. You're responsible for this for your whole group to teach them about this. But first, all right, don't forget your names because I'm taking this home to grade over Thanksgiving. You know, I want some good reading.
Is it your house?
Yeah, it's going to be in my house. I know.